Welcome to the Afterspin, opinions from thought leaders in our state. I want to ask Leo Daughtry and Peg O'Connell. Governor Roy Cooper has been going across the state now that the legislature's out of session, saying he's disappointed that the lawmakers didn't put a $2 billion bond referendum on the ballot to help build new schools in our state. What's your reaction to Cooper's message? Leo Daughtry, I'll start with you.
I think that's a good political move to go around and talk about schools and the failure of the General Assembly. But the truth is, as we've talked about, the population in our traditional public schools is going down. If you go to the rural areas and say we want to build new schools, I'm not sure that's a good idea right now. I think we need to find out when this trend is going to stop. And I know that we'll be back next year, and maybe next year they could put it on the ballot, but I don't disagree with the General Assembly.
In a lot of these rural areas that you talked earlier about, a lot of these public schools have got a lot of years on them, a lot of age on them.
That's right.
Some of them have been going on for 50, 60
and
years.
We had a bond back in the 90s when we were in charge, $1.9 billion, and it worked out fairly well. That's a good idea to help build schools. Tradition has always been for the counties to build the schools.
Right.
They've always, they wait and not raise their taxes until they see what the General Assembly is going to do about getting them some money.
Can you blame them?
No, but I do think it ought to play into what should happen.
Peg O'Connell, what's your reaction?
Well, I think the governor's message had 2 points. I respectfully disagree with Representative Daughtry. I think we've got so many crumbling schools that were built during the Depression, not the recession, but the Depression, that are falling down. And one of the issues I work on is public health, and many of our schools, especially in our older schools in rural areas, don't have safe access to drinking water. There's a lot of concern about what is in the drinking water these kids are getting. So I think building new schools helps deal with that. I think kids should be safe in the schools. Things shouldn't be falling out of the ceiling on their heads. I think the other part of the message that the governor's been going around with, and by the way, the House did vote to put this on the ballot, as Representative Daughtry said, this past time, so perhaps the Senate will catch up next year. The other part of the governor's message, which appeals to me as a wonk about government and the Constitution, is that all these other things that the rabbits that they pulled out of their hat about hunting and things like that are not things that should be in the Constitution. You just don't clutter up the Constitution with a lot of superfluous stuff. And I think that's probably a broader and equally important message. Some of that stuff just doesn't belong in the Constitution.
So we shouldn't have a constitutional amendment saying that the Carolina plot hound is our state dog?
If you want to move to Louisiana or France, then you can amend the Constitution anytime you want. But under our tradition, no.
Okay. Well, thank you for watching the Afterspin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.